Have you ever thought why creation exists? Why do you exist? Why do I exist? Well, in this video, that's what I'm going to discuss. Okay, let's break this down. Reality and existence don't exist in the way that you think they do. For example, usually people would say things like, humans are real, humans exist, the earth is real, the earth exists, this video is real, this video exists, so on and so forth. All of those statements were false. The only thing that exists absolutely is existence itself. The only thing that's real is reality. You can't say, for example, that this hand is real or that it exists. You can't say that this sofa is real and that it exists. No. Reality is real. Existence exists. But nothing else exists other than existence. And nothing is real other than reality. And what do I mean by that, right? There have been many religions of the past, many spiritual traditions. They speak of things like enlightenment, awakening, self-realization. Ultimately, although there are many spiritual traditions which have become corrupt, of course, most of the religions have become corrupt. But at their core essence, true religion, true spirituality, it all revolves around realizing one core truth. If you really think about it, there can only be one truth. There can't be many truths. If there's truth A, truth B, truth C, truth D, then which one is true? Because if truth A is true, then that disqualifies B, C, and D. There can't be a truth A and a truth B, because which one's true? There can only be one truth. It seems like there can be many truths, and it appears that way because there can be many relative truths or conditional truths. But there can only be one absolute truth. And when I speak about absolute truth, that is simply the truth that is true under all circumstances, all conditions, at all times. That's all that it means. And there can only be one of those. And enlightenment, self-realization, awakening, all these things are just about the realization of this one truth. And this one truth, as I said, is just the absolute truth, which is just realizing that truth is true. self-realization is just the self, the one self. There's only one self there's only one self. Because I was about to say in existence or in reality, but the self is not in existence. The self is not in reality. The self is just itself. And that's what you realize when you realize the absolute truth, that the truth is true and that the self is itself. You realize that something can only ever be itself. Usually we try to explain what a thing is, for example, existence or reality, through other concepts which are not existence and which are not reality. We try to explain what things are using things which are not them, which is impossible. Because a thing can only be itself. Nothing can be anything other than itself. And that's why existence exists, reality is real. But you can't say that, for example, existence is real or reality exists. No, you can't say that. You can't say humans are real or humans exist. No. You can say humans are human, but they neither exist, nor are they real, nor are they true, because only the truth is true. You see, everything is only itself, and everything is self-contained. Okay? And this logic, which is circular logic, the circle, in a sense, if you look at mathematics, we have the symbol of 0, which in a sense just represents nothingness. It's just a loop, it's just a circle. And that's what this logic is circular logic. That's the absolute. So, in a sense, you can say the truth is true, reality is real, existence exists. But in a sense, all of these things are just nothingness. And yes, it sounds contradictory when I say the truth can only be itself, but it's nothingness. It may sound like it contradicts what I said earlier in the video. That's because there's a limit to language, and language is limited. See, me trying to explain these things using language, it will always come out as contradictory. Why? Because, for example, as I said, reality is real. So reality can only be explained using reality. Existence can only be explained using existence. Existence cannot be explained through words. See, reality cannot be explained through words because words don't exist and words are not real. That's the whole point that I'm making. Words are words, but they're not real, they don't exist, they're not true. Truth is true, existence exists, so on and so forth. So words will always fall short. But essentially, when I'm just saying they're nothingness, I'm just saying that truth is true, but it's empty of substance. Reality is real, but it's empty of substance. Reality is real, but there are no things which are real. The truth is true, but there are no things which are true. So, for example, if you say this hand is true or this hand exists, this hand supposedly is a thing, right? So that's why I say you can't say that this is true or that it exists because that's a thing. And you're saying a thing exists or a thing is true. But no, that's what I'm saying. Because the truth is true or reality is real or existence exists, they can only be themselves. There are no things which are true. The truth is true, but there are no things which are true. Existence exists, but there are no things which exist. Do you understand the distinction that I'm making? So essentially, I'm saying it's nothingness. It's empty of substance. Reality, existence, it appears like it has substance, but that's just an appearance. And using the same logic, appearances appear. Appearances appear. There's no substance behind them. That's why, in a sense, you could say it's an illusion. Because it's just an appearance. It's just like an image or a sound or a feeling or a vibration with no substance to it. But even it's slightly false to say that appearances are illusions, because illusions are illusions. Illusions are illusory, and appearances appear. You see, as I said, it's the limit to language. But the point that I'm trying to make is it's nothingness, it's empty of substance. Nothing was ever created, right? So, when we're trying to explain the question, why does reality exist? Why is reality real? Why does existence exist? These questions only occur when there is the belief that something exists or that something is real, but nothing exists and nothing is real. See, that's the whole problem. That's why no one can ever really answer this question or has ever answered it. If you ask people, they will usually accept the notion that, let's just say, things do exist, things are real, this is a creation that was created, or like it at least has substance and it occurred somehow through some phenomena, through some kind of um, like process, then it's at least agreed that it would have came from nothing at the beginning. It would have came from nothing at the beginning. They may not agree that this is all nothingness. They may think that this is something, but they would agree that it came from nothing, right? What I'm saying is that it came from nothingness, and it still is nothingness, and it always will be nothingness. The problem is, then, why does it appear like there's something? Why does it appear like there's existence and reality and so on and so forth, if it's actually nothing? Why is there movement? Why is there dynamism and complexity? Shouldn't it be completely stillness, completely void, completely simple? Kind of like if you tried to imagine what it would be like if there was no universe, there was no anything. Try to imagine what that would be like. People usually think it might be dark and silent and like there's just nothing, right? No experience. And in fact, all of those things actually are true. So why does it appear like there's sounds and light and appearances and images and experiences, etc., etc. Because nothing actually is nothing. Actually think about this logically. There's nothing. There is just nothing. But nothing actually is nothing. So how could... What people don't understand is that there cannot be only nothing. That's the problem. It is just nothingness, but there cannot only be nothingness, because nothing is co-defined against something. So there can only be nothing if there's also something. So if we accept that at the beginning of time there was nothing, that means that at the beginning of time there was something. So if you said that there was always nothingness, then there was always somethingness as well. See, essentially what I'm saying is that there was no beginning or end. There was no moment of creation. There was always nothing, and therefore there was always something. And because there is nothing now, there is something now. And because there will be nothing in the future, there will also be something in the future. Because, in a sense, these appear as dualities and opposites, but this is what non-duality is all about, is the collapse of all dualities and all opposites. Opposites, opposites how can I explain this? Opposites can never be absolutely true, but they are always relatively true. They always appear to be true. In the realm of experience, there will always be opposites, because experience itself is created from a duality split between subject and object. You see? But then if subject and object collapse, then there's not even dualities, because there's not an experience, there's not any... To perceive a duality, such as something or nothing, there has to be a subject which is split from the object which is appearing, which is observing both of the objects. So yeah, essentially there's nothing and therefore there's something. That's how it appears. But actually, there's not even nothing and there's not even something. That's how it really is. Because things can only ever be themselves, things appear to be what they are not. This is the essence of Maya, is that it's inverted. There is just the truth which is itself, and therefore the only thing which appears are falsehoods, because the truth is not an appearance. What only could ever appear is a falsehood, and this is what Maya means. This is really what is meant when people say that reality is an illusion. Reality isn't an illusion. Reality is real, and illusions are illusory. But because reality is real, which doesn't appear, whatever appears will be the opposite of reality. You see? So essentially what I'm saying is that the true existence, only existence exists. That's the truth of the matter, right? But because whatever will appear will be the opposite to that, it will appear like there are many things which exist. So as I explained, this hand doesn't exist, but it appears to exist precisely because it doesn't. The mind will never be able to grasp this because the mind is an instrument of duality. The mind is couched within duality. The mind essentially is just the subject being conscious of the object, whatever the object may be. So it cannot perceive non-duality. It cannot perceive non-dual truth because it exists within duality, and non-duality does not exist, is not couched within. Non-duality is not couched within duality. Duality is couched within non-duality. And in a sense, it goes even further than that because it's neither non-dual nor is it dual. You see, so this is why there's a spiritual method called neti neti, which is not this, not that. Another way you could say it is neither nor. You could say reality is neither real nor fake. It neither exists nor doesn't exist. It's neither true nor false. It's neither up nor down. It's neither left nor right. And since it's none of these things, it's all of these things. It could only be none of these things by incorporating all of them. See, it's also neither everything nor nothing, nor both. It's just not. And the reason why it appears to be not, even though at the highest absolute truth it is itself, as I said, it's just that inversion. Because things can only appear as something in particular. So when we're saying it's not this or not that, it's not existence nor non-existence. It's because existence is something in particular. Non-existence is something in particular. You see. And the reason why words will always fail to explain this is because words themselves are something in particular. So how could particular words communicate something that has no particularity about it? And see, it just goes infinitely meta. It just keeps on going meta because then I say, then I say, words have particularity, but it isn't anything in particular. But if it isn't anything in particular, then it's neither particular nor non-particular. You see what I'm saying? It just infinitely goes meta. It just infinitely, no matter what box you try to put it in, it just keeps on escaping. And if it keeps on escaping the box, that means you can also not put it in the box of either being in the box or outside of the box. You might say, okay, it keeps on escaping the box. That means it's outside of the box. No, it's neither outside the box nor inside the box. You see, you can't pin it down. So this video was actually supposed to be a short, quick video. Essentially, the point was, because there's nothing, there is everything. Because for nothing to actually be nothing, there has to be everything, or there has to be something. Because nothing wouldn't be nothing if there wasn't something. Because nothing is just in comparison to something. That was the original point, but it just kept on expanding from there. But yeah, I think this is really why some of the realized teachers, some of the gurus, such as, for example, Ramana Maharshi and so on, it's said that when he had new students or complete beginners and they asked questions, he would answer them. But with his advanced disciples, he didn't even speak to them. He just sat in silence because he knew that this can't be communicated. It's ineffable. And see, even saying it's ineffable, that's also putting it in a box, which is also not absolutely true, because I'm speaking about it right now, and that's the only thing you can speak about. Everything you speak about is it, because it's absolute. The truth is absolute, and the absolute means it's everything. It's all encompassing. There's nothing but that. But then you want to put it in the box of absolute, but it's also relative. And that's what all of this is, this existence and so on. It's just relativity. But relativity doesn't contradict absoluteness. It's like couched within it, in a sense. But yeah, it's almost foolish to try and explain this stuff. I don't even know why I do it or try to do it, but sometimes I get bored. So I think, let me try and make a video. I'll at least try and explain it. Try and fail. But yeah, there you go.